Hey guys, Jason I'm back here. Before I continue the review on the flash review of the Honeymooners TV show, I might as well delve briefly, and I say briefly because I am going to do a full review on the Honeymooners, if you want to really call it a review of the Honeymooners movie, and explain why the movie version, as well as a lot of others a lot of other TV to films who follow, doesn't vote well on screen, more so than a movie that was translated onto the small screen. When it comes to TV shows, and I think there's no question, you have a lot of source material to deal with. There is years and years of episodes. There is character development that has been developed throughout those course of those episodes, and to take everything and just plant it into a 90-minute or 2-hour film or 3-hour film and expect the same success result is very slim. There's not too many films that actually had that success rate, and those who had either changed completely what the source material was all about, or basically have just found the right patch where, okay, they retold the story, but in a different point of view. A perfect example of a film that completely went 180 from its original source material was The Brady Bunch. I'm not a fan of the Brady Bunch TV show, and I'm not a fan of the movie either, even though I will review it in the near future. Probably not in this round of series, but probably the next round of series. But the one thing they did was it made fun of itself. It was a parody. And for the most people, that was good enough. Yeah, it was stupid, it was dumb, but it was comical and people actually enjoy it. And it knew how to make fun of itself, while at the same time keeping some traces of what made the Brady Bunch so popular in the first place. Now, whether you guys like the Brady Bunch or not, it's clearly up to you. But the point is, this is one of those TV to movies that actually succeeded and it spawned a sequel. Now, how did the second one do? That's pretty much up to you again how it will. But there were others who didn't do so well, even those who actually tried to change it up. Dennis the Menace, Leave It to Beaver, The Dark Shadows, Last Airbender, just to name a few, have failed because not only was it not faithful to the source material, but it just they was retreading to the same old story that any diehard fan, if they were real fans, can easily spot and pick, and they say you're just retelling the stuff we have seen already, or we already know about this. Change up the story, and that's the thing that what's happened with the Honeymooners. The Honeymooners, in this case, have tried to be different, and I applaud them for being different according to the times. The problem was they took an element of what the Honeymooners were and didn't do much with it. In fact, I kind of wish they didn't do much with it, or at least kept some of the other elements that made the Honeymooners so popular. What is the main theme of this movie? The movie that the Honeymooners starring Cynthia Entertainer was simple. It was a get-rich-quick movie. How Alf Crandall was trying to make money, trying to get rich, and doing everything he can, and failing miserably at it. But let's ask ourselves this one question as we go on. Was the Honeymooners just about a get-rich-quick scheme? The answer is no. In fact, if you go back into the episodes, even from the Jackie Gleason show to the Classic of 39, even to the Lost episodes and the special episodes, the Honeymooners was more than just a simple get-rich-quick scheme show. In fact, the get-rich-quick scenarios that Ralph Cran has had put himself through and put his friend Norton through was just a small fraction of what was going on. There was a whole lot of stuff going on with the Honeymooners that as a kid you don't realize it because you're a kid, you're just laughing at the jokes that's being thrown out to you. But as you get older, you begin to realize there was a whole lot of situations that the Crandons and the Nortons was going through, a whole lot of scenarios that which forced Ralph's hand in many ways to do these quick schemes. He didn't just do it just for the sake of doing it. There was a purpose of why he was doing it. this is something that the movie and pretty much Hollywood in general seems to fail to realize when they try to adapt these classic shows into big motion pictures is that this is more than just what people actually remember them as. The Honeymooners, if you look at it very carefully, and if you watch the marathons or you have the episodes, look at it very carefully, and you ask yourself, was the Honeymooners relatable to the common man? The answer was yes. Um, when I see the Honeymooners, I can actually remember the whole entire setting. The door leading to the main entrance. There was a bedroom we never seen. They had a icebox, a stove, a round table with two chairs and a desk. And, no, I'm sorry, and a dresser. That's it. Right there gives you the environment of this couple was not rich. They was not living a lavish life. They didn't have problems they can easily solve just by conversation. These were actual people who was poor, living in the worst conditions that a person could be imaginable, and it was shown in front of a live audience. This was considered very, very risky at the time when Jackie Gleason produced this show. In fact, most shows, if you take a look at the shows that came before and even after Honeymooners, they really tread that waters. The shows who actually tread this waters, really, they was very cautious. They was very scared of it because people, to them, they wanted to have an escape from this world. But this was something more gripped in reality. Ralph Crander's situation in terms of his employment. He was a bus driver. How much did he make? $62 a week. That's how much he made, and this is something that, if you look at it, you may consider, oh, that's that's messed up. But keep in reality, this is how people actually lived back then. They didn't get paid much back then. They didn't have unions back then. Layoffs was pretty much inevitable every day. Ralph was struggling to survive in the environment, and this pretty much prompted some of his motives. Ralph was a very prideful man, and he was ashamed. He was ashamed that he couldn't provide for his wife, which he loved deeply. That's something that we can never deny. Despite all their arguments, despite all their mishaps, he loved his wife, and he was ashamed that he could not provide for his wife. And so those get-rich-quick schemes that which the movie seemed to cling on to, but didn't seem to cling on to anything else, was we understood as viewers of the show why he's doing it. He even said it a couple of times, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for you so I can give you things. And Ralph's motives was based on those things. But keep in mind, if you look at the episodes, it's not all that was going on. In those episodes, especially one of them, which I actually still enjoy, we had the counterfeit money situation where Ralph had come across a suitcase full of counterfeit money. We have seen what happens when Ralph has a lot of money and how he doesn't know how to manage it. This is a very powerful episode. Keep in mind, the episode he had a phone in the bedroom, outside, and even in the fire escape. Why would he have a fire escape? I don't know. And he was spinning it like water. He's not thinking that the money can run out eventually. Eventually, he found out that the money was counterfeit, and he basically still didn't understand his actions, what he had done. And so Alice brought up that he actually quit his job. And then he realized he just made a mistake, and all the stuff that he bought had to return. So these are the things that we've seen from Ralph when he has money and don't know how to deal with it. And we also seen his jealous rage. We also seen domestic violence in the show. We also seen how the arguments never really ended happily. A lot of the episodes, you'd be surprised, didn't end with "Baby, you're the greatest," because not everything was a happy ending at the time. They met for some summer moments, they met for some fun moments, they met for some happy moments, but they were all different moments. Not every day, every episode ended with that catchphrase that has always been made famous at the end. And there's a reason. Not everything always ends happily. So that's something that is also in play. Domestic violence, surprisingly, has been shown in there, and it also shows how people at that time actually dealt with it, which was pretty much non-existent at that time. They felt it's not our business, don't interfere. But this was something that people have talked about years. My grandmother told me about that. We don't interfere with family members' business. Whatever they're dealing with, it's their business. We don't interfere. We don't call the cops. We don't do anything else. I seen that through the Honeymooners, and it was on the Nortons more than it was on the Ralph. With the Crandons, it was verbally. Norton's was more physical than I think anybody can to believe. It is like, wow. This was something that Cedric the Entertainer have brought up in his interview that there were some things they just couldn't adapt in the movie because it was not politically correct. And I agree with him with that situation. He couldn't say bang zoom. He couldn't say to the moon, Alice. He couldn't say any of that. But this is one of the reasons why I think for this particular property, it should have been best left the way it was, because with this, there is a lot of stuff you couldn't adapt to the big screen because it will be deemed offensive, especially in this time. But in that time, it was appropriate because everybody was dealing with it. So simply put, guys, The Honeymooners was not just about comedy. It was a social comedy, a comedy that dealt with real situations, real issues, and it dealt it in a comedic fashion. And to be fair, that's was one of the reasons why The Honeymooners is still deemed a great classic show. Most great classic shows are shows that are similar to what The Honeymooners have done. The Honeymooners in my list is number 2 of the all-time greatest sitcoms I've ever seen. There's only one other one that beats it, and that's All in the Family. And All in the Family is definitely a situation comedy. We will laugh at some of the stuff that's going on the TV, especially with Archie Bunker and his arrogant ways. But we know someone eventually that was like that at one time, that really felt the way he felt, that really had his opinions. And these are the comedies that make people actually think, make people actually wonder, oh, we're laughing, but are we really laughing at ourselves? And these are the things that that made The Honeymooners so great. It was a situation comedy, but most importantly, these characters, and this is something speaking from a kid's point of view, even to now, I believe these characters were real. I cared about these characters. I wanted to know what they was going to do next, what conversations going to engage to, what Ralph was going to be up to, what Norman's going to be up to, their friendship, because there was real situations. I felt this the scenario was dealing was real, and these characters was well developed and well engaged to each other. That when you sit there, you can't help but laugh, but you cannot help but root for them. That one day they will actually get out of the situation they was in and actually live happily. The movie didn't do that. And the movie didn't do it for a lot of reasons, because they only focus on the one theme, and that is the get rich quick theme, and is more. The Honeymooners is more than just a get rich quick theme. The Honeymooners is a whole lot more. So this is one of the things that I really enjoyed about The Honeymooners, and why it's still to this day, one of the most watched reruns that ever graced television. I don't not remember any generation not sitting down and at least watch 1 or 2 episodes of The Honeymooners in its original format. I had the luxury of watching The Honeymooners Lost Episode, the Christmas specials, the Valentine's Day specials, some of the Jackie Gleason skits that he had, and to me is pretty much a crowning jewel. Jackie Gleason is a very well talented actor and a great producer. There's a reason why he's called the Great One, and he leaves a legacy that can never be tarnished, especially with The Honeymooners. There's shows that come and go, but this show will always be a memorable show for years and years down the road. There's difference between good shows and there's memorable shows. I can tell you right now, the Brady Bunch, as the years go on, I remember little of each episode of the Brady Bunch. I can't say that with The Honeymooners. The Honeymooners falls in the category as timeless joy of watching the show over and over again. Every time I watch it, I continuously enjoy it more and more. Their shows, after I watch it after a while, I don't want to watch it anymore. This show, I look forward to seeing an episode of Honeymooners whenever they get a chance to put it on TV, and this is one of them. On a scale of 1 to 4, I'm giving The Honeymooners 4 stars. It is definitely one of the greatest shows of all time, and I recommend it to anyone of all ages. But I also want you to take heed of what I got to say. Remove the chair. I want you to take heed of what I got to say here. The Honeymooners was not just about the get rich quick scheme. The Honeymooners was a whole lot more to that. The Honeymooners is a situation comedy that had a lot of issues and views that when you look at it from that point of view, you realize just how dark and how much it is relatable, not only to what the characters is, but to us as we move on today. So take that in mind when you watch The Honeymooners. Take a look at it from a different point of perspective. And I'll talk about The Honeymooners movie in the next Flashback review. Until then, J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.